we talked to Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, immigration attorney and owner-CEO of Lincoln-Goldfinch Law in Austin, Texas.
Well, it's the exact wrong move based on what we need. We have a backlog in the immigration courts of 3.5 million cases, and the Trump administration is firing the very people who move those cases forward, and in very messy ways. I mean, some judges have gotten notified via email in the middle of their hearing that they must leave their bench, and it's only going to exacerbate the court backlog.
Why is there any reason given for these firings, or just blatantly partisan?
They're not giving any reason to the judges about why they're being fired, but it does appear that the judges who are being fired tend to be the ones who are more moderate, or dare I say friendly. The ones who, might grant some cases. Those are the ones that the Trump administration tends to go after. A lot of the judges who remain are former prosecutors or DHS attorneys who are very, very difficult to practice in front of.
What about the aspect of now we're dealing with bond hearings also being affected?
So the administration's position is that immigrants who entered the country without a visa are ineligible for a bond. That's a new and radical interpretation of existing law and case law. And we'll have to see, certain judges might accept this argument, others won't. And I anticipate federal litigation on this issue. So maybe the federal courts will step in and tell the Trump administration they can't, that this isn't a legal interpretation. But for right now, bonds are, even harder to get. And they've always been very difficult to get. Any immigrant who wants a bond has to prove they're not a flight risk and they're not a danger to the community, and they have to pay an amount. And, you don't pay a percentage of an immigration bond like someone does in the criminal context. You pay the full amount. So they've always been very challenging, and now they're even more challenging.
Because the whole aspect of all this is like, if it's going to stop illegal immigration or illegal immigrants from coming over to the United States, the Trump administration still is on this. We're going after the criminals. We're going after the rapists. And he keeps saying that, but the people that are being picked up are working people.
That's right. The statistics show that more than 70% of the people that the Trump administration has deported have no criminal history whatsoever. And anecdotally in my own practice, I can tell you I do a lot of removal defense and detained work, and the vast majority of my clients who have been caught up have no criminal history whatsoever. Many of them are children, many of them are families, they're being separated, they're being tortured in these facilities and in the way that they are treated, and they are not criminals. They're just hardworking people who came here, many of them fleeing violence, some of them just to have a better life for their children. But they're the very kinds of people that we need in this country who keep our economy afloat. They take care of our elderly. They take care of our sick. They build our buildings. In the state of Texas, 1 in 5 doctors is an immigrant. 1 in 4 nurses is an immigrant. 1 in 2 home healthcare workers is an immigrant. I mean, these are critical people to the functioning of our society. And we're already starting to feel the pinch from these actions by the Trump administration, and it's only going to get worse.
He's also saying you see the backlash because of he's trying to have no amnesty for farm workers. Now that farm workers are being affected by these raids by ICE.
That's right. This is another sector that's going to be heavily impacted. The way that we get our food is going to change, and fruits and vegetables are going to become much more expensive as a result of all of these raids.
Have you seen any of the of all these raids they've had on farms, on plants, processing plants, etc.? Have you seen any of prosecution of the businesses themselves?
No, they don't go after the employers by and large. They're mostly going after the workers. And that's historically been true. The business interests have lobbies, and they have more sway in Washington. And so these enforcement actions go after the little guys who have no voice. But I will say, because of it, what everybody's seeing, the American population is not aligned with what the Trump administration is doing. People are banding together. People are rising up. And I don't think that this will stand for very long based on what I'm seeing out in the community.
But he's also using ICE and I'm just going on what's going on in Los Angeles with using the National Guards to try to help booster ICE enforcement, saying that they need this because of attacks on ICE agents.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Trump administration is using National Guardsmen, military forces. Some states are acquiescing, like Texas, of course, and Congress passed more funding to double the enforcement budget for ICE. So we're only going to see more enforcement and more detention. But I think that what is going to start to shift, I hope, is the way that people are being apprehended and treated in detention. This business of plainclothes officers who are mass, essentially kidnapping people on the streets, and the separation of family, and these things that are occurring are getting a lot of attention and pushback right now. And I think that that's what needs to happen. That's what people who are opposed to this need to be doing, is talking about it, calling members of Congress, sharing it on social media, and not getting desensitized to the horrors that we're seeing on a daily basis so that it doesn't get normalized.
It seems though it is getting normalized, and the Trump administration is getting even more bolder because of the court system and the advantages they have in the court system. So it seems like they're on a roll with what they can do now.
The Trump administration is definitely empowered and emboldened and aggressive, and they definitely have control of the executive branch and the legislative branch, and pretty strong hold on the judicial branch. All of that is true. And yet the vast majority of the American people are not okay with what is happening, and we have the power to vote, and we have the power to organize and to speak up, and we can't get disillusioned and just give up on what's happening because we see so much power concentrated in two of the three branches of government. We have to keep fighting.
And I have to ask you about this birthright citizenship, because people now are being detained even though they're Americans.
Well, those two things are unrelated. Birthright citizenship is an attempt by the Trump administration to revoke a right that people born in the United States have of U.S. citizenship. That has been blocked by the lower federal courts under a class action at this point. And everyone who knows about the Constitution and the laws of this don't anticipate that birthright citizenship will go away. We are seeing some U.S. citizens get picked up in raids. By and large, when that occurs, it is an error or an oversight by the ICE agents. And so those people, once it's discovered that they are U.S. citizens, they get released.
That was Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, immigration attorney and owner CEO of Lincoln-Goldfinch Law in Austin, Texas.